'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to turn round where we hope to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be friends, and a true friend to be. 'Tis a gift to think of others, not to only think of me. And when we hear what others really think and feel, then we'll all live together with a love that's real. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be gentle, 'tis a gift to be fair, 'tis a gift to wake and breathe the morning air, and every day to walk in the path we choose. 'Tis the gift that we pray we may ne'er come to lose. 'Tis a gift to be loving, 'tis the best gift of all. Like a quiet rain, it blesses where it falls. And if we have the gift, we will truly believe 'tis much better to give than it is to receive. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. We welcome you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1,000th Sunday with us, we are stronger because of your presence. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. I am Deb, and I'm your guest service leader for today, and I serve this church as the treasurer. If you are with us on the internet, or if you're with us sitting in the chairs around me, we are one community, united in our commitment to each other and our commitment to live out our principles as in the world. As we begin today, I want to remind you to leave your electronics on silent or vibrate. For the comfort of our friends with a sensitivity to fragrances, please leave this wedge of space over there. Please leave those to those who are allergic to fragrances. We're at a medium risk level, so we can now eat and drink indoors, and small groups can choose to unmask if everyone is vaccinated. While for the Sunday services, where we have so many people in this space, we stay masked at medium risk. In the pulpit this morning, we have husband and wife duo Meg and Todd, Hoke. Our neighbors over the mountains from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hendersonville, North Carolina. They have jointly presented many services at various fellowships over the years. After a break, they are back with the timely service theme of hard times to share with us. They promise it will educate, encourage, and challenge us. They make a good team. Meg tells me that Todd is the songwriter and musical performer of the family, while she does all the talking. So welcome, neighbors. And opening music. Thank you.
I would introduce myself, but Meg does all the talking, so. This first song is by Woody Guthrie.
when I can get it, boys. I go from town to town. Police make it hard wherever I may go. Ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now I was farming on the shares, and always I was poor. Crops I had laid up in the banker's store, and a rich man took my home, drove me from my door. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. 6 children I've raised, they scattered and they grown. My darling wife up to heaven she has flown. She died of the fever on our cabin floor. Ain't got no home in this world anymore. I'll mine in your mine, sir, I'll gather up your corn. I've been working, mister, since the day that I was born. And worries, I've had worries as long as I've known. Ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now I'm stranded on a road and it runs from sea to sea. 100,000 other souls stranded out here with me. 100,000 hungry, 100,000 poor. Ain't got no home in this world anymore. And as I look around me, friends, it's too plain to see. This wicked world, it's a funny place to be. While the government man's a rich man, working man's kept poor. Yeah, I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Yeah, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Thank
you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Helping us with the chalice lighting this morning is Dan Coughlin, who serves this church as a member of the caring team. And these words this morning are written by Kathleen McTeague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see there communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
Come to this community with all that you are. Your joys and your concerns are welcome here. We share our moments of joys and sorrows with us through using these candles cards shown here, if you are with us in person, or by emailing Reverend Tiffany at minister@hvууc.org with the words candle card in the subject line. Please make sure to indicate whether or not you would like the card read aloud in the service, which is being broadcast publicly on YouTube. If you want a candle to be lit for yourself, a loved one, or a situation close to your heart, I invite you to make that request by standing or raising your hand when Todd begins leading us in loving kindness, hymn 1031 in your teal hymnal, except I think it's James again.
Definitely James.
Thank you, James. Which will happen in just a moment. Then I will acknowledge each of you with a motion of my hand, and you can sit down or lower your hand after that. We light our first candle for you who are not in the building, but are ever in our hearts and our minds. And I do have one card. It's from Eric Perner, and he says that his friend Mark Nichols, who also goes by Hobo Shoestring, fell in his home in Johnson City and severely cut his hand, requiring 10 stitches. Also, we light a candle to honor Coming Out Day this Tuesday, October 11th. This candle represents the shining light that is you and our welcome of who you are. It also represents our concern for all those who will not have a welcome response or a safe landing pad. We have a candle of concern also for all those in Florida still reeling from the effects of Hurricane Ian, digging out, coping with loss, and starting over. A close friend of one of our members lost his Tampa Bay home due to a fire last Friday, started by downed power lines touching the wrong equipment when the power was restored. Thankfully, family and pets are all safe. And we light a final candle for all that remains unspoken in our hearts and our minds.
You're going to be okay. Our responsive reading comes from the gray hymnal. It's number 575 in the back. It's called A New Manifestation by Margaret Fuller. And we're going to do it a little bit backwards. You know, usually I start it and then you say the words and then like that. But you're going to start it because you're just going to repeat the phrase, a new manifestation is at hand, a new hour is come. So Todd's going to help you get started so
Not that you need it.
so we can be all together. Okay?
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come.
Okay, I forgot to say, sorry. I forgot to say that I did want to recognize this was written by Margaret Fuller in the early 1800s. And we recognize now, or before 1850 anyway, and I do recognize now that we have non-binary folks, and it's not just man and woman. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in my talk, but I just wanted to recognize that in this moment, okay? So let's start over again.
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come.
When man and woman regard one another as brother and sister, able both to appreciate and to prophesy to one another.
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come.
What woman needs is not as a woman to act or rule, but as a nature to grow, as an intelligence to discern, as a soul to live freely and unimpeded, to unfold such powers as were given her.
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come.
Man does not have his fair share either. His energies are repressed and distorted by the interposition of artificial obstacles.
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come.
We would have every arbitrary barrier thrown down. We would have every path laid open to woman as freely as man.
Were this done, we believe a divine energy would pervade nature to a degree unknown in the history of former ages.
A new manifestation is at hand. A new hour is come. Thank you.
Of course.
He has this hard job. He has to keep up with all the things, even when I just say, oh, do this now.
It's my pleasure.
Its many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis a song, the sigh of the hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around our cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
This morning, our hope is to share songs of struggle and words of prophecy, connecting the strife of the past to the challenges we face today. Racism, sexism, disproportionate wealth, and ignorance of sexual and gender identity have caused incredible violence and suffering throughout the history of our country. And many fear the return of such times. But let's pause for a while and understand the voices, emotion, and vision from our past. Margaret Fuller, who wrote our responsive reading, was born in 1810 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and although she was not afforded the education of her male contemporaries, was nonetheless a brilliant thinker and well respected by peers such as Ralph Waldo Emerson. She edited journals, wrote articles, reviewed books and papers, and was the first female correspondent. She was the first female correspondent, period. She was a strong voice for women's rights and the abolition of slavery until her untimely, tragic death in a shipwreck in 1850. Stephen Foster, who wrote Hard Times, was born in 1826 and lived almost all his life in Pennsylvania and New York, visiting the South only once. His initial success was from writing minstrel songs, many of which romanticized slavery and plantation life. He was no advocate for social change or social justice, but as the country grew closer to the Civil War, he did seem to gain more understanding and sympathy for those who struggled. His songs enjoyed great popularity, but he never gained any significant wealth from his music. Some historians believe that he was a depressed alcoholic who died of infection at age 37 after a botched suicide attempt. Hard Times Come Again No More was published in 1854. Woody Guthrie was born in 1912 and lived in a small farm town in Oklahoma. His family was poor and beholden to the bankers. During his childhood, he witnessed the great oil boom and how it brought wealth, but also wrecked his small town. And then, as the Great Depression took hold, the oil wells ran dry, and finally, the Dust Bowl made life impossible for his family. Woody started his wandering and wound up in California, where he saw the unfair migrant labor practices, the unions organizing, and the power of the wealthy to crush the poor. And this is where I Ain't Got No Home was written, which reflected all of this experience and demonstrated his alliance with the hardworking and long-suffering poor. All three of these folks influenced American culture through word and song, reflecting the struggles and oppression of their time. The thing is, America is still struggling with these same issues. The hard times just keep coming.
'Tis a song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around our cabin door. Hard times, come again no more. Now there's a pale, drooping maiden who toils her life away with a worn heart whose better days are o'er. And though her voice it would be merry, 'tis sighing all the day. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
Although Foster's description of a pale, drooping maiden kind of brings to mind an image of a depressed Cinderella, it does actually reflect a real truth. Poor women throughout history have had to work hard during the day to earn some coin or keep, and then were expected to maintain the house, raise the children, and care for others in the community. As an aside, Loretta Lynn, who died this week, on our way over here, we were listening to a Terry Gross interview from NPR on her. She was married at age 13, had 4 children by the age of 20, and was not only raising those 4 children, but cooking for 46 ranch hands. And she just kept saying life was not easy. It was really hard. But she just sort of reflected it as like, that was just our lot in life. You know, we were poor. This is what we did. Even now, women in a heterosexual marriage continue to be the primary housekeeper. In 2020, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released data that said that women earn about 83 cents for every dollar a man makes. In other words, in the nearly 200 years since Margaret Fuller wrote her piece that we read earlier, we are still working towards manifesting a society where every path is laid open as freely to women as men. The same is true for every other oppressed and marginalized group in the U.S. People of color are still more likely to live in poverty. We know there are inequalities in the justice system, education system, housing markets, and people of color are often caught in a cycle of poverty that is difficult to overcome. LGBTQ Americans face significantly higher poverty rates than heterosexual Americans, especially when it comes to trans individuals. One of my dear friends is transgender, and she has described to me her frustration that she cannot get proper medical care and feels that her life is at risk every day. She battles depression and anxiety and is trying to rearrange her life so that she can live somewhere that is safe and supportive of her. All of which is to say, Fuller's concern about women extends to people of color, LGBTQ folks, and others who are marginalized by our society, so that many still do not have the means to live freely and unimpeded, to unfold powers that were given them. There's more than pale drooping maidens toiling and weeping because of hard times.
'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around our cabin door. Hard times, come again no more. While we see mirth and beauty, and music bright and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. And though their voices are silent, their pleading looks still say, oh, hard times, come again no more.
This verse is a powerful description of the root of all of our hard times. The dichotomy of the haves versus the have-nots. People who are in the party versus people left out in the cold. People who have access to resources for whom the systems are made, housing, banking, education, and on, versus the folks who are oppressed by these same systems. This is exactly what, about 100 years after Foster wrote that song, Woody Guthrie was singing about. I'm stranded on a road, it goes from sea to sea, 100,000 other souls are stranded out here with me. 100,000 hungry, 100,000 poor. We ain't got no home in this world anymore. Over 75 more years have passed, and here we are, Still, with so many in our country struggling, so many feeling that they have less power, less control over their own lives, their own bodies. So many who feel left out in the cold, and many who are furious about it. It is astounding that there are serious conversations about how the grand experiment of America is in danger of ending, that democracy is being undermined, and, more extremely, that we may even be heading into another civil war. For me personally, it's frightening and infuriating. I don't think we mentioned that Todd and I both work in hospice. I'm a hospice social worker, and Todd is a hospice nurse. And just this week, I offered comfort to a woman whose husband was dying of COVID. And I can't help but note the cognitive dissonance that the same people who screamed of bodily autonomy in the face of scientifically supported vaccines and mask mandates now believe that women should not have bodily autonomy and be forced to remain pregnant, which flies against the basic values of self-determination and medical ethics. And there's so much more. White supremacists speak openly, and systemic racism is everywhere. A Supreme Court justice implied that gay marriage is under threat. Gun violence and mass murders continue to happen in houses of worship, schools, concerts, and parades because people prize their guns over human lives. And on and on. Woody Guthrie sings, "This wide wicked world, it's a funny place to be." And oh man, it sure is.
Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around our cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
So, yeah, this is totally depressing and discouraging. The work of creating a just society is never ending. We will never reach that ideal. But that does not mean it's hopeless. It absolutely is not. Can you imagine what Margaret Fuller would think about having a vice president who is a woman of color? Woody Guthrie lived in the era when Social Security was just being put into place and died in 1967, right as Medicare began, just before the Civil Rights Act was passed and before women gained the right to buy homes, own credit cards, and access abortions, and even play sports in schools. I don't know what he thought about gay rights, but I'm sure he didn't imagine that gay marriage, he didn't even know that phrase, probably, that gay marriage would be legalized, or that transgender folk would win significant legal rights. There has been incredible progress. And maybe we got complacent. My generation grew up with the assumption that this progress was stone cold fact, that the laws were settled, that we would never go back. Clearly, we were wrong. The powers that want to disenfranchise women, the gay community, transgender people, people of color, and probably most of all, the poor, they are organized and have effective strategies and tactics. But we have numbers, even if we are a little less focused at times, a little more scattered at times. This time in our history requires us to gather our strength and work together. I am sure that UU congregations across the nation have been working towards that. I am sure that you are aware of the inequalities in your area, in your state, and in our country and the world. This is what our 7 and hopefully soon to be 8 principles are all aiming towards. Honoring each life, recognizing the interdependent web of existence, and that we have to do the work to bring justice to our society. There is always more to do. Right now, we are at a historical crossroads. We must look to our forebears to guide us, but also to reassure us that we have been through difficult challenges and our world has become more just because of all the work that our predecessors and our current generations have done and are doing. We have to continue to be vigilant, loud, and powerful. And we can be. Mourn for what is no more. Acknowledge the soul's fatigue. But then, together, keep working. These may be hard times, but whatever the future holds, we can still come together, look into each other's faces, and find communion, hope, courage, and keep manifesting a better world.
'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around our cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
We lit the chalice as we came together, reminding ourselves that we must pause, reflect, and commune together to gain strength in this community of people who reflect back a desire for peace, justice, and a better world. As we extinguish this flame, let us take with us the knowledge that we are not alone in the struggle to create a better world. And let us be a beacon of comfort and inspiration to others.
We thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Megan, Tom, Todd. Keep wanting to say Tom, I'm sorry. It was wonderful. On October 30th, we'll host a trunk or treat at 12 p.m. just after the service. Everyone is encouraged to wear a costume if they choose, so it could be very interesting. A lot of fun. The service auction. This church's biggest fundraiser each year is set for November 19th, and it needs volunteers. The most immediate need is for a few planners. If you're interested, please talk to Charlie M. or write to stewardship@hvuuc.org as soon as possible. And if you're new to us and you ask, what is a service auction? This is an annual fundraiser event. Members and friends donate their time and talent, and fellow members and friends bid to win each donated service item. All the money raised goes to the church. The auction evening itself is a fun time with lots of food and an auctioneer. Childcare is provided, and the resulting claiming of services opens up opportunities for connection and new friendships. Now you wonder, what can be donated? Donations in the past have included things like themed meals, Jamaican, Italian, English pub, lunch, etc., murder mystery dinners, guided hikes, homemade soup delivery, leading a fossil dig or canoe trip, the ever-popular handyman hours, an afternoon of help in the garden, homemade goodies such as coconut cake, cheesecake, pickles, oh my, it just keeps going on, a painted portrait of your pet, sample music lessons, movie night, game night. Really, your imagination is the only limit. Offering a service does not have to break your budget. You can team up with a friend. You can learn more about the many opportunities for fellowship, justice work, and working together by visiting our website, hvuuc.org, and checking out our news and event sessions. Our closing music is The Faith of Man by Bill Staines, performed by Todd Hoke. This is also when the offering basket goes around. The contributions that you make during the offering supports the way that we all build each other up within this community, and also provides the resources needed to stretch out into the wider world to make a positive impact. If you're making a pledge payment, please mark it as such. And thank you all so much for your contributions.
Nancy Griffith once referred to Bill Staines as the Woody Guthrie of our generation. So that means something.
One day a babe was born along the highway, a tiny helpless thing upon the sand. An Okie with a dream out on the byway took the babe and held it proudly in his hands. The woman smiled a gentle smile of knowing and whispered something softly in its ear. Perhaps a little prayer to help the growing, perhaps a word of comfort through the fear. You can trust the moon to move the mighty oceans. You can trust the sun to shine upon the land. You take the little that you know, you do the best you can, and you see the rest with the quiet faith of man. A tractor makes its way along the fence line. The seeds are dropped precisely in a row. And if the rain is kind and the wind don't take the topsoil, sees the fields around him ripen and whispers something low beneath his breath. Perhaps a little prayer to help the growing. Perhaps a word of thanks for all the rest. And you can trust the moon to move the mighty oceans. And you can trust the sun to shine upon the land. You take the little that you know, you do the best you can, and you see the rest with the quiet faith of man. There's a storm-tossed ship tonight on the water. There's a soul that sails alone out on the blue. There's a dreamer with her eyes upon the heavens. They're all looking for a way to make it through. And you can trust the moon to move the mighty oceans. You can trust the sun to shine upon the land. You take the little that you know, you do the best you can, and you see the rest with the quiet faith of man. You take the little that you know, you do the best you can, and you see the rest with the quiet faith of man.
Together we can move the mighty oceans of ignorance and hate. We can bring the light of justice to this land. Together we know a lot, and if we do the best we can, perhaps we will once again have faith in humankind. Go in peace with hope and determination. Thank you.